I'm going to just go out and say that this is probably a must-own lens if you're looking at this field of view. The image quality on this lens is superb, and whenever I take it out for the day, I seem to end up with more keepers than I do with most of my other lenses. So before I show you the day out with this lens and follow up with some samples, let me quickly list the things that I like most about the lens in no particular order. Now, first is the focus distance of this lens. The ability to focus close up is absolutely incredible. Now, of course, it isn't a macro lens, but you're able to take pictures really close up. The focus distance is roughly, the distance from the lens hood up to the edge of the lens hood. And at the same time, you have this wide landscape 16mm field of view. And I find that just incredible that I can take both landscape photos and then come in close for some close-ups. Now, this versatility also allows me to actually take portraits. Now, of course, 16mm is not a portrait lens, but it's such a good lens that you can actually shoot portraits to an extent within your landscape settings, and really pretty neat the kind of photos you can take with this lens. Now, the second thing I like about this lens is the fact that it's a 1.4, so for low light, of course, it's a beast, and looking for that, compression in the background, 1.4, awesome lens. The third thing that I like actually is this clutch system for switching from manual to autofocus. So it continues that tradition of what we enjoy about Fuji and having those tactile controls. And whenever I have this lens on my camera, I find myself switching focus modes and using manual focus more than usual because it just seems so much easier for me to kind of make that switch in modes. The fourth thing I like about this lens is the image sharpness. This lens is the sharpest of any lens out there. Okay, that's not true. Don't quote me on that, and that's fake news, but it's a really, really sharp lens, and I think you'll enjoy the sharpness in your photographs. So what don't I like about this lens? Well, there's little not to like. I'm surprised when people say that it's too big or too heavy. Yeah, it's bigger than my 23 2.0, but I'm not bothered by the size or the weight. One thing that I don't love is the bokeh. It's a little harder, it's kind of the soap bubble bokeh as it's called. My photographer friend tells me that a lot of people actually buy vintage lenses to get this look. So for some, it's kind of a sought after look. Well, I personally prefer the softer compression, but again, that's personal and it's not a technical fault on this lens. Now, this lens does not have image stabilization. When you couple that with my X-T3, which has no IBIS, I wouldn't even try to use this for video without a gimbal. Now, the only criticism that I find out there when I look at other reviews is that it's not really specific to the lens itself. It's that some people don't like the 16mm field of view. Some people enjoy it, some people don't. Now, personally, sure, I think my 23mm f2 is a little more all-purpose, but it simply doesn't have the performance that I got from the 16mm lens. So, as usual with all my reviews, I like to actually go out and use the lens. And I use it in everyday real-world type situations. And I say real-world in the truest sense. This is taking it with imperfect settings, uncooperative subjects who won't sit still, and no special lighting. In fact, these are bright daylight photos, which is my worst lighting of all to use. I absolutely should have put some filters on because I overexposed some of my shots and I blew out the highlights, and not the best representation of what this lens can do. But all in all, I got some great memories captured, and that's the whole point of a lens. So as a reminder, all photos are straight out of the camera using the Eterna profile unless otherwise noted. Now, the pictures at the beginning and end of this video are more in line with the lens's capabilities of what you could expect. But this little video montage shows you my everyday use, and I really hope that you get to watch it in its entirety because although I have a message for my daughter halfway through, I think that this message applies to all of us. If there is one piece of advice I can give you, it's to never lose the sense of creative wonder of youth, where you can take pleasures in the most simple of things, where falling over is just part of the process met with a dogged determination to carry on, where a flower is inspected with joy and wonder as if it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, leaving you lost in the moment, or where you can find your own patch of light shining down on you, literally and figuratively, where you can take the time to just be you, because that's all that really matters. And perhaps most importantly, where you can lie on your back and laugh like you actually do live in the moment. Van Gogh famously said, "I don't know anything with certainty, but seeing the stars makes me dream." And I hope you do continue to dream. Your sense of innocent bewilderment allows all of us to relive just a little bit of our childhood, no matter how fleetingly. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for taking us along with you on this wild adventure we call life. Go out and paint the stars.